Okay guys, hey, it's Jet888 here. It's January 21st. That's 121. I was watching this live. It's going on still right now. And it's about, the title here is Elon Musk just destroyed the WEF as globalist panic in Davos. I think I saw this on Tesla News at first, but the thing is I heard, God, he was just bumbling around, worse than I usually do. And he mentions the word shellfish. He's so awkward, but he mentions the word shellfish. And it kind of reminded me of 3 years ago. Let's just get this live. Let's see what I can see. 3 years ago, I had covered a state senate meeting, a document that they were talking about the unauthorized storage of toxins. And I talked about the shellfish and the toxins that the government, CIA, had and stored and they weren't supposed to. Anyhow, Elon Musk, he throws out that word shellfish, and why it got me is because, besides mentioning it years ago and seeing it in this state senate hearing document, so this document right here, and it was released, or at least documented, September 16th, 17th, and 18th in 1975. And this states, printed for the use of the Select Senate to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities. And this was the video that I did. It was toxic agents. I did it, this is live. I did this live on October 13th, 2019, and I talk about, follow along and look at this document. But down here I give the links, and for some reason these links turn into YouTube links, so it's really difficult, but you can Google the state senate hearing meetings. I've also brought this document up also regarding the water and stuff like that, because they said that they are basically going to poison the water. And this is something that Brian Artist on Stu Peters' show was mentioning. And just last night I heard him talking again about this, and literally like reading the same information I had read on this document. So I came and looked at this, and after seeing, or hearing, I should say, him mentioning shellfish, and then this video that I did 3 months ago, I've done a lot more before on Alice in Wonderland. This was the anagram for Alice in Wonderland, was New World Order Alliance ridden. So they had this thing, it was called Let the Games Begin, that they did these actual virtual, not virtual, people were actually congregated to do these weird like phone games on their phone, but they're also walking around playing the game in teams. Now here's a Disney depiction of this. It's part of their Disney collection, Let the Games Begin. Okay, sorry about this because I might be skipping because I had to turn the phone off for a while. But with the videos I was covering with the Alice, where they're talking about Let the Games Begin, and here's this one that they were talking about. This is dealing with an Alice. Let me go open that so I can remember what that was about. But the word phenomenon came up, and I looked at that as men on phone. I made this video 3 months ago. Yeah, I have great viewers, huh? Lots of them. I'm so popular. Okay, this was part of it. It's like Let the Game Begin, and it was a live group event. This is just, for instance, this one in Indianapolis happened, but I decoded this event, and here we have, so Let the Game Begin, and it was a worldwide phenomenon, and that was men on phones. And looking at just one of the anagrams of Alice in Wonderland, it's New World Order Radiance Ill End. And then my video I did yesterday, where I spoke about an airplane that crashed in Carlsbad, California. Here's the West Coast. And this singer, he owns an aircraft company also, and he also sings. He's a musician, and he was singing a song called Ready to Connect that I thought was weird. But what I didn't cover is the word Carlsbad, because they also had another accident, a airplane crash like a month or so ago, and it was also in Carlsbad. So I started looking at the word Carlsbad. So Carlsbad here, the numerology, there's 201 as in the event 201, as in the Johns Hopkins University, the tabletop exercise that started the whole pandemic-y thing. And down here, Carlsbad's also 60 and 360. That video I showed yesterday, they definitely made some images regarding circles, kind of like a sacrificial kind of ritual. But also the word Kraken, that's also 360 and 60. And I've been hearing a lot of the release the Kraken, and I think that that's kind of strange too. Kraken is also associated with just a few examples: apple, snake, and Korea, and sign. And when we look at the word Kraken again, a little bit deeper here, also the words order, raven, grant, aliens, Bengals, and prey, as in we could be their prey. But this also shows some visuals, Kraken versus ship, and we saw they were showing this plane, and it was actually being pulled out of the water when they were, they did show it in the water, like any ship in the water versus the elements. Okay, so I'm looking at the word Carlsbad, and that equals Kraken, or at least one of the numerical equivalents. And then you know that saying, the release the Kraken, and people are like, well, what's that mean? Probably the trouble, the problem that's going to start happening. So I looked at that numerology, release the Kraken. And here's some few that I picked I thought were interesting. League of Legends, and I'll get into that later. League of Legends, EIon Musk, The Purge, which I think they're doing now. They're doing a huge purge, like WEF. When you flip those letters around, it's few, FEW, as in few of us. So the purge would make few of us, or get rid of us. God's Secret Plan, Perfect Storm, and Entertainment, which is what the NFL or the Super Bowl is too. Super Bowl is entertainment. SuperbOwl. Okay, so sorry, I'm jumping. Sorry about that. So when I went back to this document and I'm looking, I think this is page 17, I think. They talk about the lethal agents, and it's saxitoxin, the shellfish toxin. Highly lethal nerve toxin, attacks cardiovascular, respiratory, nervous, and muscle system. Death in seconds. Of course, it would depend on the dosage, though, wouldn't it? And they also have cobra venom there, too. But I wanted to look at this word saxitoxin. And here's the word saxitoxin. It's a shellfish toxin, shellfish, which is what EIon Musk mentioned today in his live show, just out of the blue for, I don't know, what reason was that? So saxitoxin 899, 810, and 135. And you come down here, and saxitoxin is equivalent to 60, Build Back Better, and Golden Gate Bridge, just among a few, but 60, remember? Kraken is also 60 right there. But also saxitoxin, and it being equivalent to Build Back Better, because it's got the same simple and English gematria here. Build Back Better. When I look at Build Back Better, there's the Matrix with Neo, the one, and that guy who is it's a drum major guy. I just thought those were weird visuals, but it reminded me of the Build Back Better, which when we look at the words Build Back Better, it's matrixism, Keanu Reeves, The Harvest. I don't know what that word is. I haven't unscrambled it, but New Human Race Revealing, and they're all 126. It's also 1111, The Revealing as well. Those are also both 756 and 126. That's the English and simple gematria. But guess what else is 756 and 126 in gematria? That died suddenly. I just felt that was kind of strange. But anyhow, so where I'm getting to too is that word, that saxitoxin. So we got saxitoxin, So I looked at the word saxophone. There's your Buffalo Bills, White Rabbit, and Hold My Beer, as in my Corona beer. Now here's this article that talks about the Buffalo Bills, and it was on January 11th. That's 111. So anyhow, they just have to get their numerology in. 111. Now here's some more 111s over here, which is also 666 in Gematria. You've got the Matrix, Game, Vaccination, Computer, Mark of Beast. Here's some more Deutschland, the Satanic Mark, Receive a Mark. I mean, how many 111s can hit this whole pandemic-y kind of, I don't know, verbiage? I look at the word saxophone because it's between phones and saxitoxin, and there's your 111 again, 666111. So I'm just looking at the SuperbOwl, SuperbOwl live. It's going to be in Arizona. It's the number 57. There's your 55 and 11. Like the Twin Towers there with the sunbeams going through it with the looks like the New York skyline. But anyhow, there's your sunbeams, like the CDC has little sunbeams going through their logo. See that? Your little sunbeam, sun rays. There's your sun rays. And when I look at the word also sun, guess what that makes me think of too? The UN, because there's sun backwards. UNs, like all the UN's rules. Sorry about the blurriness. So here's the Super Bowl 57 game day information. It's going to be February 12th. That's 212. Kickoffs at 4:30 p.m. So here's a 4:30. Here's 4:30. You got your 666 and your 111. Human Gods is also 4:30, and here's 612 and 102. I picked that because we flipped over that 102. It's 201. Just look at this for a sec. I thought it was kind of interesting. Human Gods, and 102 also means 111. So here's your 612 and your 102. 102 is also Art of War. So just looking at the Super Bowl, because this is one of their biggest entertainment events that they have, and they throw all kinds of symbolism at us. So you got your SuperbOwl 57 Music Fest, and look at this, February 9/11. They have to have the 9/11 in there. And that Music Fest is going to be at the Footprint Center. You look up the word footprint. That's also interesting because you've got the words Terminator, government, catastrophic, White House, Wuhan Corona, and facing end of days, and that's a 666 there. Anyhow, in that toxic document, that storage of toxins, that saxitoxin, I don't know why that's not clear. Sorry about that. Being a lethal agent, and the number for that, the dose was 11.405 grams was what they had in total, and that's lethal. But you look at the 11 and then add the 4 plus the 5, that's 9. That's your 11-9, or flip that around. Oh, and so during the halftime, I guess, who they're going to have, Rihanna is who they're having, one of their guests, and that's BlackRock is Rihanna. And it's also, if you look at the simple gematria over there, 65, it's also boring, as in the Boring Company. So the Super Bowl 2023 date, time, location takes place February 12th. That's 212. Just first one on the list is Monarch, is 212 if you're a Jewish gematria. It's going to be at at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So Glendale, there's your Glendale with your, where'd it go? The 102 numerology, flip that around, it's 201, and we go down to Glendale, and it's also 60, which we've talked about. 60 is Kraken. It's also order. So all the numerology for Arizona Cardinals, there's your numbers over there. Arizona Cardinals, United States of America, receive a mark. Ebola vaccines, Eye of Storm, Manifest Destiny, Elon Musk, big night for America and United Nations. That's UN, as in the UN's, like the sun. Remember how they showed these sun rays in the LVII? Look at that, like the Twin Towers right there. So Rihanna is the halftime performer. Let's look at State Farm Stadium. I haven't looked at State Farm. So there's your anagram for State Farm. State Farm is FEMA starts. So what are they gonna do? What are they up to? Oh, and playing off the saxitoxin word, I just used the word saxophone, sax, S-A-X. I'm looking at the word saxophone just because saxophone sort of reminds me, if you want to look at it in a football term, sax can be like that, sax iPhone. Sax iPhone. You better watch where your iPhone is, because that's a weapon. 666 and 111. That is a weapon. These iPhones, they are weapons. And look at this. So saxophone equals matrix game, vaccination, computer, mark of beast, a COVID vaccine. Deutschland is satanic mark, receive a mark, new age begins, witchcraft, Korea, Wi-Fi. Remember the well, the 2 videos ago I did the FAA and NASA are working together with Korea to use a drone technology for, I don't know, transportation. You might want to look at my 2 videos ago. And Artis, who is the guy who, Brian Artis was also talking about the toxins, the shellfish toxins. And there's Elon Musk, as in Elon Musk. You can't get away from this guy. So they're talking about who'll perform the 2023 Super Bowl halftime. They mention Rihanna. They also mention Rock Nation. So I'm going to look at that. Rock, R-O-C, Rock Nation, as in Black Rock. If you want to look at that, it's Rock Nation, as in how you spell rock, really. Rock Nation is Klaus Schwab. Klaus, the creator of the WEF, the few, the people who are going to try to take over. So here's Rock Nation. There's the numerology. And then just look at this, who this lines up with. Well, there's the word unleashed, kind of like the Kraken, although it's released the Kraken. But then here, down here, Alice in Borderland. It's the same words that, anyhow, it's just everything seems to be tied and twisted together. And there's the word reduction, as in WEF, flipped around is few, FEW. That's a reduction in population. Anyhow, I kind of think this weird build back better, you know, we always heard them say build back better, and that's equivalent to the 126, which is equivalent to the died suddenly that we're seeing. There's your 126. And here's a drum major talking about building back better. Look at that. He's a drum major, and this was a picture covered in Ozone. It's called The Ozone. It was just a magazine. Here's the ozone, established in 1996, but the ozone in simple gematria equals 108, and so does metaverse, which is also serve meat and Eve master. And here's your Keanu Reeves, the guy with the Matrix. So one last thing, I wanted to show you this, the crown agent. This was a numerology, and this word up here, Caplau Regit. I'll show you what that visual was. It's kind of interesting. It's it's an archaic, interesting looking bowl, but to me it looks like, remember the whole UN, the little leaf thing that they have on the bottom, the little border? They have that little emblem, and it talks here too. It says centered on the North Pole. Well, I'm going to skip here, but first let me finish this thought, okay? So you have that little UN kind of look. We have the crown. We have a chained unicorn. We've got a black Q belt, which is weird, a black belt. But I looked quickly at those words. Caplau, R-E-G-T, in Hebrew, Gematria, the same numerology as crown agent. And you know what? It's also the same numerology as You'll Be Happy and Klaus Schwab. Also purest blood type, God is within, and Ophiuchus, however you say that. And when I looked at this, it said that it was related. The related themes is horse in war. A drum horse has to be over 16 hands high, strong and fit. They're the biggest horses in the army and carry 2 kettle drums. That's what this is. Like I looked at it as a kettle drum, one on either side of their backs. The drums are played to control the speed of the band music and also signal the drum major's commands. So I was looking into the word drum major, and that's where I came to the R major mud. Remember the mud floods? I just thought that was sort of weird. Also, drum horse is R shore mud or O murders. Final mark, light. Here's some of the words related to it. New war, 5-9, monkeypox, gender induction beam. All one word. Isn't that weird? And there's your drum major right there. But this thing I looked at looked like a belt, so I'm calling it a Q belt because it looks like its little belt there. And Q belt in Gematria is alphabet. Just the Q alone is 102. You flip that around, it's 201. But so Q belt equals 197, as does alphabet, as in ABC, CIA, all that stuff. FBI, CDC, alphabet. They're all working together, the alphabet agencies. And the Q belt in simple gematria equals 56, which is also 11, but that also equals T-bone. Isn't that kind of weird? T-bone, as in meat, as in meta, like serve meat, metaverse. Stakeholders, coronavirus is carnivorous. I just thought that was weird. Lots of meat eating kind of terms. And so going back to the UNs, when you say UNs, it could be sun. We see a lot of symbols for the sun, but this is just so strange. And regarding the North Pole, and I'm not going to get into this a whole lot because I don't know a whole lot about it and I haven't done a lot of research about it, but it just sort of came into my mind. And that Build Back Better, remember, it's also the 1111. That's why I was covering, that's spelled weird, but 1111. The North Pole, remember the black rock, Rupus nigra, black rock. Remember we saw black rock down below, kind of related to some of the SuperbOwl stuff, and that's in the North Pole. But there seems to be a big magnetic shift that's going on. At least they say it is, but that pole shift, just looking at the numerology, there's your 66 and 11 again, pole shift, and there's your EIon Musk and your COVID vaccine. 660 and 110. I just think that's weird. Pole shift. Elon Musk is associated with a lot of 66s. So 666 is a Elon Musk plan. The storm is here. Synchronicity. That's let's see. Synchronicity, hidden in plain sight, and Rothschild's family. These are all things that I found were kind of interesting. But anyhow, Elon Musk today said during his little interview, he said he wanted to know what the meaning of life was, and he just out of the blue mentioned shellfish. So that's what got me on this whole rampage. Sorry about that. But here's the black rock. That's what they don't want you to see, the North Pole. That's supposedly what something has shifted, or something has slowed down with the shift that's going on right now, the magnetic pole shift. Something's changing. And I can leave you this link too. Anyhow, it's interesting here. Rupus nigra, black rock. It's like tall. Altissima is like big or tall, black rock. And sorry about skipping all over the place, but I just, there's so much to cover here. Oh wait, one thing I want to show you that, let's see if I can see the ozone. Oh yeah, the ozone, when I looked at that, the anagram, the ozone is Oz the one, as in one is Neo. So I just thought that was weird. Okay, that's it guys, carry on. Oh wait, my very last comment. So there is such thing as crown agents. And I just thought that was weird because it could look like Corona, the red type, Corona Gent. And here are the crown agents. They're trade companies in, they're in London, Tokyo, also Los Angeles. Here's this Fergus Drake, OBE, James Cameron, Mark Haddad, and Victor Avila. He's a team leader at Crown Agents Limited. But this Fergus Drake, guess what? There's his name. I looked at the anagram, Dark Refuges. So refuges is shelter or protection. Remember, as in maybe like a FEMA camp? Just, you know how they're shutting everything down, like you can't live in a tent anymore. They're shoving everyone into, anyhow, this is what this reminds me of. The word refuge is shelter or protection. So it's a dark shelter or protection, dark. Fergus Drake, dark. And he writes this, if I can find this again, if you look under Crown Agents, you'll see this, but he was really hell-bent in securing a supply of COVID vaccines in the world's it's the world's #1 priority. And then just getting it into people was one of his biggest concerns. He needed a lot of PPEs. Anyhow, this is a very interesting article he wrote, very telling to know where these people are. And he says here, I'm plagued by an ongoing nightmare of full containers of boiling vaccines rotting due to customs check delaying their arrival. You know how they don't want to have any checks and balances with the trade. Anyhow, I'll leave this letter that he wrote. It's interesting. And again, part of this state senate hearing meeting, they talked about the storage of the toxins, unauthorized storage. And one of the things interesting that they said is they had enough shellfish toxin to kill hundreds of thousands of people. Okay, just check my notes. So 11 grams could kill 14,000 people, but with and here at the 3 minutes and 47 seconds into my video, I bring up where they said that the amount of shellfish toxin was administered orally. Let's see, it was the least efficient way to administer it. The quality was sufficient to kill at least 14,000 people. If it were now this is it. If it were administered with the sophisticated equipment that we found in the laboratory, the quantity would be sufficient to kill a great many more. Estimation varied upward into hundreds of thousands. And it says it attacks the nervous system. And I'll leave you the link because I'm running out of camera space here. But they said that the chairman said the quantity and the various devices for administering the toxin, which was found in the laboratory, certainly make it clear that purely defensive uses were not what the agency was limited to in any way. There were definitely offensive uses, and I wonder what they're doing with those toxins now. All right, guys, that's it. Do your homework.